Where are the areas primed for massive equity uplift and growth potential?
The price between an unrenovated property and a renovated property is quite different. You can make some serious money.
We're talking Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, and Tassie. This episode, together with property investor and serial renovator Oliver Jackson, founder of Living Property, we unpack 5 locations in Australia that offer massive value-add potential.
If you buy well and renovate well without overcapitalising, there's definitely a lot of juice in that tank.
Lifting the lid of value-add and high-growth locations combined correctly can skyrocket portfolio growth.
We start relationships first. We don't just go start randomly putting in offers.
And with this list starting in the 400,000s, these are areas open to so many more investors. Talk to me about setting up the right team.
Building a relationship with a real estate agent's one thing. Best way I think you can do it, which is...
If you've been looking for affordable Aussie locations to invest in that have got serious growth potential and the potential to add some amazing value, you're going to enjoy this episode. My name's Todd Sloan. This is the Pizza and Property Podcast, and this episode is powered by InvestorKit, Inside 2, Living Property, and Palladium Partners. More about our amazing show sponsors in the show notes below. But right now, let's jump straight into this episode with Oliver Jackson. Oliver Jackson, how you going, man?
Mate, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. Man, thanks for having me.
I'm pumped to have you on the show because we're talking locations and we're talking one of my favorite subjects, which is renovation. You're doing a lot of value add work at the moment and actually unpacking 5 of the top locations for value add potential under 550. I think a few people are going to lean forward on this one, man. But before I get into all the questions I've got prepped here and the list that you've got ready, is there anything you want to set the stage with this one?
It's definitely getting harder in the lower price points. Like only a couple of years ago, 550 was actually quite a good budget.
Yeah.
350 to 450 was, there was multiple locations around Australia that we could purchase in. I believe we were going to do under 500 for this one, but we thought we'd stretch it to 550 just because it is getting a lot tighter in those lower markets.
And you've put together a broader list now as well, because if it was under 500, it kind of segregated us a little bit, but just stretching it to that 550, it's now in several states, yeah?
Yeah, we didn't want to talk top heavy all in one state. So we've got multiple states here, which kind of makes it a bit more exciting, doesn't it?
Absolutely, man. And for anyone wondering as well, that's maybe a little bit newer to property investing, what's the difference between a solid area to invest in, just period, versus a solid area to invest in that's actually got that real value add potential?
Yeah, so we want to purchase in an area where if the price between an unrenovated property and a renovated property is quite different, there's no point in buying a renovator in an area where it's the same price for an unrenovated as a renovated property. As we were talking about off camera before, there's parts of Adelaide where you go and buy a renovator and a renovated house and they're almost the same price. Why would you go and put money into a renovation for that?
Yeah, there's like 20, 30 grand in between them. Exactly. And it's like by the time you've paid stamp duty, renovation, there's no point.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we want to go into markets where, let's say the median's 500,000 and we can buy a property in the early 400s, chuck 20 grand into it, and there's properties selling in that market closer to 600. That's a big gap where you can make some serious money.
So the difference is the gap between unrenovated and renovated being large enough, essentially.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. Is there any other points you really wanted to hit home before we jump into the list?
Yeah, just to be clear, we're not talking about flipping either. So we're not here we're going to try and make maximum amount of money to flip properties.
Yep. This is equity uplift.
Exactly.
Where is suburb number 1?
Going Lavington, which is in Albury-Wodonga.
Albury-Wodonga, okay. All right, do you mind rattling off a little bit of the data you've got prepped, like median price, rental yield, that kind of stuff?
So the median price is around that 565 mark. Median rent 500, so we're pushing in that 5% range, 4.6 to be exact.
Okay, so decent yield.
Yeah, good rent. It's New South Wales, but it's Victoria. So Victorian rental yields are usually quite low.
Yeah.
That 4.6 is quite strong. The 10-year annual growth rate has been 10.3%, which is well above the Australian average.
It's huge.
It's got quite low public housing, only around that 2.6% mark. And the inventory levels are super low at 0.59%.
So still a lot of pressure, or a lot of growth has happened over the past 10 years. And what's your school of thought on that? Are you looking at this more so from this is now a proven area, or are you looking at this as it's potentially at the top of its cycle or getting to the top?
Definitely not at the top. We've been buying on and off in that area for, I say, 7-8 years. It's always been quite steady. Obviously, Victoria's kind of gone a bit sideways, but it's just always been solid there. It's not stupid growth. It hasn't gone up, 1,000,000% overnight, but it's also done well above the Australian average. So it's just a very solid investment.
Got it. Okay. And so why is this really the place as far as the value add? Like how big is this gap between renovated and unrenovated?
Yeah, you can get places in that early 500 mark. I mean, we're talking cosmetic renovations, so, anywhere from that $10,000 to say $40,000 mark. So not crazy big renovations, and there's stuff selling in the mid 600s.
So you're talking about a 6-figure gap.
Yes.
Like this isn't like there's 50 grand between it. There's enough meat in the sandwich.
If you buy well and renovate well without overcapitalizing, there's definitely a lot of juice in that tank.
You say about buying well. Talk to me about buying well.
Lavington and that whole area is quite tight. There's not much property for sale.
So it's easy to get FOMO.
Yeah, there's only 17 on the market right now. So it's a very, very tight market. So to buy well, you have to have a really, really good relationship with real estate agents.
Got it. Okay.
So you need to maybe find one or two and just literally start a relationship with them, like a friendship. And then they will hopefully look after you, and you get, if they have a good deal that comes up, like a deceased estate or a bank repossession, the ones where you can really find some good deals. If you can get a relationship with an agent like that, then you can get something well under market value. That's a really, really good start.
I can't help but think there's people listening going, yeah, but that's different because it's transactional. Like if you're doing this as a job, if you're just like Joe or Jane Public buying one property every year or every 5 years, whatever, how do you go about building that relationship? And to me, this would have been you in the early days anyway. Like when you very first started as a property investor, how did you do it?
When we go to buy into new markets, if we haven't bought there for a long time, or we're just like anyone else here, so we start relationships first. We don't just go start randomly putting in offers. We might even fly into the area and just start meeting real estate agents. And honestly, relationships, it's not about transactions. If you can find a real estate agent, you guys really get along as a friendship, they will look after you. Like it's not always about transactions. You're going to buy 50 off them. Some people just like a connection.
Always remember people are people.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else you wanted to add into Albury or more specifically Lavington?
It's a good solid investment.
Let's move to suburb number 2, mate. What's next on the list?
So we thought we'd drop one in for Tasmania here. So East Davenport.
All right. Talk to me about the numbers of East Davenport and Tassie. And I've got a feeling we're going to be talking about Tassie a little bit more soon, but it's only just kind of coming onto the radar now.
Yeah, Tassie's back. Been a bit of a 5-6 year hiatus. But, you know, with replacement value for the price of building houses, the cost is low. Like the median house price is around that 450 grand mark. Pretty hard to build a house these days for much less than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The rents are really solid, 5%.
Oh, no, you're saying like the median house price is 450?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So does that mean if you're buying an East Davenport right now, if you're buying like something that really needs love, you can potentially get it in the low 4s, even high 3s, depending on the level of love it needs?
That's correct. If you've got a good renovator there, you can definitely get them in the early 400s.
That's insane.
And the rental yields are 5%. So the rents are very solid. And the 10-year growth rate is 9.1% for East Davenport, so well above the Australian average. I mean, if you look at this, there's only 2 listings for rent. That's not many.
Talk to me about affordability as well. Like, is this like, yeah, it's a cheap buy-in, but it's a very low income area. So what about the affordability? Like, is it just, it's cheap because it's like a really low income area, or is there a bit of money? Like, what's the affordability index looking like?
So the affordability index for that one is 29 years. If you couple that against, say, a Bondi blue chip area, that index is 91 years.
So 91 years with the average income to pay off the average home in Bondi, 29 years in East Davenport.
Correct.
It's a little bit of a difference there.
Couple of lifetimes there.
I feel like comparing Davenport and Bondi Beach is probably an unfair comparison, but that illustrates the point perfectly.
They're both on the water.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. All right, but very affordable.
Exactly.
Got it. And why is this in here as far as the value add potential? Why did it make the list?
Because there is still properties there where you can make some money. So if you can get something in that low 400 range, do a reno, there's stuff in the 500s. And with a vacancy rate of 0.62%, that's just crazy numbers.
You're not going to be sitting there vacant for very long.
Nah.
0.62%.
Very low.
That's insane. And what did you say the yield was again? Like 5%?
East Davenport is actually the lowest on the list for vacancy days.
I know we're going to be seeing more of Tassie soon. All right, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about with suburb number 2 before we move on to number 3?
No, that's good. I love Tassie, so good to see it back in action.
I made the mistake last time Bianca and I went, which was actually the first time we went. We didn't have a car, and we've now learned. We just walked around Hobart, and it was lovely, but it was lovely for like a day, not a week.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "You're an idiot. You got to drive around Tassie. That's when it really comes to life."
Well, you can drive around the whole thing in a day.
Probably. Yeah.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's like the size of Westfield.
Yeah.
Anyway, area number 3. Where are we going for this one, mate? What state?
We're going Queensland.
Queensland. Okay.
And now there's been a lot of talk around Townsville, but there's still plenty of juice in that tank.
Oh God, how's Townsville made the list? Surely Townsville's done.
Townsville's definitely not done. There's a lot going on there. A lot of government spending. Investors who have left, I reckon, are coming back. It's still hot.
Yeah.
It's still going. You can still get deals. So we picked Kirwan for this one.
Talk me through the stats of Kirwan.
Median house price is $580,000.
580, okay.
We got the rental yield is 4.84%.
So still good yields.
Very solid. I mean, days on market is only 11 sales.
What's inventory levels if days on market are 11? I'd imagine they're like shockingly low too.
We have 0.59.
So half a month.
Yes.
So basically, if agents didn't list any property, just in case you're a little bit newer, you're wondering what are inventory levels? If agents didn't list any properties for 2 weeks, there would be nothing to buy in Kirwan.
Correct.
That's pretty solid demand. Okay, but now I have noticed, man, this is a 580. We're talking buying under 550. How's this made the cut?
You can definitely get things in the early 500s. 510 to 540, you can buy renovators, brick buildings with renovation potential around that $20,000, $30,000 mark. One thing you do have to look out for is bathrooms. There are always waterproofing issues, so you might have to pump a new bathroom into it.
Okay. Now, I know bathrooms swing wildly, and you and I have had a few conversations off air about this. From state to state, it can be like 15 grand to 40 grand. Townsville, you're looking more your 15s or your 40s?
12 to 15.
12 to 15. So a more cost-effective area to do it in.
If you know, depends who you get to do it, but that's what we pay for them. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Talk to me about setting up the right team, because that's obviously the lean into with that. It's
Yes.
You could pay 40, but if you know how to put it together, you can get it much better.
Yeah, that's a bit of a harder one. Building a relationship with a real estate agent's one thing. Finding trades, the best way I think you can do it, which is finding the best property manager you can, who you can literally interview property managers, ones that have personally done renovations or run renovations for their clients. A lot of property managers do renovations for clients. They help. So find a really good property manager or a selling agent who you're buying it off. They might have good trades, and just get a bunch of quotes.
Okay. So this all comes back to the property manager.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but if you get the right one, they can help you. Otherwise, you're just going to have to ring around. I actually don't know, man. I don't know how people do it.
I've never done it that way. I've always done exactly what you're doing. It starts with the PM.
Yeah, and how many quotes do you want to get? The problem is you've got to have the trades actually go out there and do the quotes. You've got to either own the house before they can actually go in there, because you can't just send 20 people around there because you want to buy a house. You're finding the best property manager, because your goal here is buying a renovator. So find the right property manager that has done renovations. If you're buying a set and forget, different property manager.
Got it, yep.
But you'll interview property managers and say, have you done renovations before? Can you help me get the best prices?
Got it. All right, man. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with Kirwan? Like, because what I'm really interested in is that gap. What do we got there as far as unrenovated and renovated?
The gap's massive. Early 500s, there's stuff going into the 700s in Kirwan.
To the 700s?
Yeah. If you've got a good renovator, a big block, maybe a corner block, 4-bed, 2-bath, you're definitely looking at some pretty high prices there.
So there's some potential, like 6-figure gains from, and we're still talking cosmetic renos, like the kind of like 30, 40, 50,000?
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Anything else you wanted to talk about with Kirwan before we move on to Suburb 4?
Yeah, Townsville's not going anywhere anytime soon.
It just feels like it's never ending. That's the big thing in my head. But every time I look at the data, we were actually going to prep an episode not long ago going like Townsville's dead. And we all jumped into the data and it's like,
No, it's not.
it's not dead. Like, it's still going. Like,
There's a lot going on.
okay. All right. Suburb number 4. Which state and which suburb?
We're going Victoria, Sebastopol in Ballarat.
Ballarat. Okay. Talk to me about like the bottom end, top end for Sebastopol. Like you're picking up properties, what, in the low 4s, mid 4s. How far is this going? Is this into like high 5s, 6s? Where is it?
Yeah, so early 400s, a good renovator.
Yep.
4-bed, 2-bath, and they're pushing into those 600s, mid 600 once renovated.
Once renovated. Okay. So again, a gap of potentially a few $100,000. So there's 6 figures to be made if it's like actually managed correctly.
Yeah, a couple of 100,000, not a few hundred.
Yeah. What's a few? A few's a couple, isn't it?
A few's 3.
Nah. Is it?
Oh, right. Yeah, this is what they teach you in schools. A few is
A few is more than one.
a couple is
couple
2.
is 2,
A few
yeah.
is 3 plus.
What's several?
Lots. Not happening.
I thought several was more than 3, isn't it?
No, a few is 3, definitely.
I'm going to Google this right now. Is a few more than 2 or more than 3?
So 3 plus.
This is true.
Anyway.
All right. Okay. Let's leave that. All right, so doing a little recap here. So we've got Lavington in Albury, then we're looking at East Davenport in Tassie, and then Kirwan in Townsville, which just seem to keep on keeping on. Then we're going down to Ballarat, Sebastopol in Victoria. So what is our final 5th area on the list?
We are going with sunny Victoria again and the suburb of North Bendigo.
North Bendigo. All right, talk me through it. Why is North Bendigo on the list, and what are the stats for North Bendigo?
Median price, 500. Median rent, 480. So we're 4.99% 5%. So, close to that 5%. So technically the vacancy rates for Bendigo is 1.88%. But if you ask any property manager in Bendigo, they'll tell you that it's minus 5,000. It is that hard to rent a property in Bendigo.
Okay. Hard to rent or hard, like as in to be the landlord?
Hard to find one.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
It's like the property manager starts thinking about putting something online and they're getting phone calls about it. That's how tight it is.
Now, you and I were actually in Bendigo just recently, and I remember talking with a few property managers, and one in particular that was saying it's not even a type of property. Yeah. It's like anything. Any and property. I kept pushing back. I'm like, no, surely like units are more difficult, or it's like anything.
Yep. Anything that comes up for rent goes.
Okay, so 1.8%, basically what you're saying is there's some data lag here.
Seems to be that all data lags, but that's a crack at that one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so as far as the pressure on the market, now Bendigo hasn't done anything for a while. It's a real market splitter. Some people are looking at it going, okay, because it hasn't, it's prime too, and other people are looking at it as, well, this is proof that Victoria as a state, or the taxes, everything else, it's no good. Why is it making the list for you?
Price point. 500,000's good price, so you can get stuff in that mid to high 400 still. Replacement value situation. It's realistically close to Melbourne. It's only a couple of hours, and there's a lot of money in Bendigo, so those prices can definitely be pushed up towards the 600s. So there's plenty of room to move, and Victoria's only got one way to go, and that's up, because it went sideways backwards for quite some time. So there's plenty to come.
Okay, and as far as the meat and the sandwich, where's that gap from bottom and top?
Mid 400s to mid 500s, maybe pushing into the 6s.
So you can still get something in the 4s?
Yes. As for all these suburbs that we're talking about, Bendigo or anywhere else, these are lower socio areas. So there is parts of these suburbs where you want to make sure you're not buying in. So make sure you do your research. There's parts of all of them that aren't exactly desirable. So make sure you do your research. Like we went for a drive up Derwent Street in Bendigo while we were there. Yeah,
and that dude with the face tattoos staring at us. That was
we thought we were going to get rolled. There was a house burnt down that used to be a meth lab, and an interstate buyer had actually bought the property next door for like 50 grand over what the asking was, obviously not knowing the meth lab next door or what that street was.
Do your research, guys, especially if you're buying borderless for the first time, because you can get stung otherwise.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And it's not that you can't make money in lower socioeconomic areas, entry-level areas, but don't overpay in them. You don't want to,
And maybe not next door to the meth lab.
Yeah, that's probably a bit close. But all right, so is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with North Bendigo before we start wrapping up this list?
Just same thing, man. Build the relationships, find the right trades, do the best.
All right, this list, if you guys are looking at adding extra value, obviously the more the market can do the heavy lifting for you, the better. But it doesn't mean that you can't still add some pretty significant value without rolling up your sleeves, because like Ollie, you're not DIY in any way, shape or form. It's something that if you can actually manufacture this growth on top of being in a market that's actually set for it, it can just absolutely springboard the growth of your portfolio. And it's one of the big reasons I wanted to make this episode with you, mate, because you got your finger on the pulse in so many different areas, but areas that you can double down on both sort of levers to pull, the manufactured growth and the market growth. But otherwise, man, Ollie Jackson from Living Property, thank you so much for jumping on the show, man, and sharing this list.
Always a pleasure. Anyone needs any help with anything, reach out.